Well, the Cubs struck out trying to get Alex Bregman. Now Matt Shaw is dealing with an oblique injury. What are the Cubs' options outside of these two guys to play third base? Could they trade for Nolan Arenado? Are they going to sign Justin Tucker? We'll talk about that right here on the Cubs Baseball channel. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Let's get the show started. All right, good to see you guys, and hope you had a great Valentine's Day. Now it's time to get focused on opening day for the Cubs. That's going to be the Dodgers out in Japan. But before we go there, let's talk about this third base situation because all of a sudden, after the trade, Isaac Paredes, even Cam Smith, in that same deal to get Justin Tucker, the Cubs now don't have a whole lot of third base options, and they wanted to sign Alex Bregman, as you guys know, and it didn't work out. They were beaten in the deal by the Red Sox at the end, and now the Cubs are kind of looking at Matt Shaw as the next guy, right? Well, the problem is now Shaw, the rookie, is dealing with an oblique issue. He was injured during batting practice, like swinging the bat. Something happened. Those obliques to me are a really tricky injury because it seems like some people just never get over. I mean, you remember last year dealing with like muscle injuries. I feel like Ian Happ kind of was a guy that had a really slow start to the season because of an injury, like a muscle injury. It might be a different area of the body, but the bottom line is that you tweak these muscles, and even a young guy like Shaw, who hasn't played any games in the big leagues, is dealing with that. So now you wonder what the Cubs' options are. I don't see the Cubs and the Cardinals making a trade for Nolan Arenado. I just can't see it. I don't think that the Cubs are going to be willing to deal with the Cardinals. I think that it's your arch rival. You're not going to want to send them some players that you're going to deal with in the future, and they're in your division. And I know some of you guys are like, well, remember the Lou Brock trade? Yeah, that could be part of it too. I mean, it's still infamous, and that was in the '60s, right, or whatever. So mark that one off. That's not going to happen. Could they sign Justin Tucker? Yeah, that's an option. Tucker, those 40 years old, and you sign him. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to come in and be better than some of your in-house options. He can still hit a little bit, but he's 40 years old, and baseball's a young man's game. I mean, you just got to know that. And now that we're past the steroids era, you're just not seeing players that are putting up monster numbers into their 40s anymore. Okay, but it's an option. I wouldn't be surprised if if things don't get better quick for Shaw. If you or even if they do, you still could sign Tucker, and he may be a bridge guy to help Shaw. We talked about that on shows before, right? But what about your in-house options? Uh, you start looking at the in-house options for the Cubs, and there's none that make you feel real confident. Uh, Vidal Brujan, remember he was with the Marlins. He's like a utility guy. His utility isn't third base. He's played 19 games at third over the last 4 years. Now, he could play other positions. You could probably throw him there, but 19 games in his major league career at third base doesn't, to me, make him an option for third. Plus, he's not a very good hitter. So, okay, he's a good utility guy, but Brujan, I'm counting him out. How about John Birdie? This guy was with the Yankees. You know him. He's another one of these utility guys that they signed. This is the guy that they signed this guy, and then they basically had to trade Luis Vasquez to Baltimore, which to me, Luis Vasquez would have been an option to play third base. He's a shortstop, but he could have played third base. They probably didn't think his bat was good enough. I think he's eventually going to hit. But that's just me. Who knows? John Birdie, though, 167 games in his 7-year major league career at third. So he's got some experience at third base. He's definitely an option in that area. But then again, when you look at Birdie, he could play third, but what kind of offense are you going to get from him? Last year he was with the Yankees, didn't play a lot, 25 games, and dealt with some injuries. You probably remember him from the Marlins. You know what? He did hit, 23 with the Marlins. The guy hit 294. Kind of a, put it in play type guy. Doesn't have a ton of power, but career 259 hitter. But you kind of want more power at third base. He's got 24 home runs in his 7 years. So I mean, he's not really a power guy, and he's not driving in a bunch of runs. But you could put Birdie at third. Now the other option is Gage Workman. Okay, so here's a guy that plays third base. He played third base at Arizona State. Really good player in college. In his career, he's played a lot of third base in the minor leagues. He can play shortstop. He's got some range. So he's played 284 games over at third base. We don't know much about him. He's a big dude, 6'4", 220. And he is, a former Brewers draft pick, and then was with the Tigers. And, and obviously now he's with the Cubs, right? But he has no big league experience. Last year he played for Erie in the Tigers organization. And had a pretty good year. 18 home runs and 89 runs batted in. Plays a ton of third base, and he's on the 40-man roster. And this is a guy that they like. Nobody's really talking about Gage Workman. Gotta like that name too, Workman. Hey, throw Workman over there. He'll do it. So for the Cubs, when you look at the third base situation, none of these make you feel really comfortable with the position. And even with a healthy Matt Shaw, you don't feel that you still don't feel that comfortable with the situation. But Shaw, they said his treatment's responding well. The Craig Counsell said they don't anticipate any issues. So what does that mean? I mean, I guess in a couple weeks you see if the guy can can go back out there and start playing third. But if you rush him and it re-aggravates, then all of a sudden you're talking about months. And these muscle injuries and obliques and stuff, some of them take weeks and weeks to heal. So anyway, we'll be keeping an eye on that. I think the next video is going to be about the Dylan Cease trade. Some people reporting that the deal's dead. I think that the Padres are saying, hey, give us back Owen Casey. And then it comes, we're like, no, we're not doing that. But I still think that Cease is someone that they could eventually trade. Although if the Padres want to compete with the Dodgers, they're not going to want to give up Dylan Cease. I mean, you look at that arsenal that the Dodgers have, and then maybe he's also a guy that you wheel at the deadline. I don't know that you'll get as much back for him, but you might get more back for him depending on how the race is set up. So, but look, thank you guys for watching. Always love hanging out with you. I'm still buzzing over the fact that we had over 1 million views last year, and we're off to a great start this year. So thank you so much for making this channel something that you do every day. And go Cubs. Look, we'll be keeping an eye on anything. If it breaks, good news breaks, maybe they make a trade and they do get Arenado, maybe they get a third baseman, we'll jump on here live. But please get in the comment section. Tell me what you think. Like, subscribe, thumbs up, share with your Cubs friends, and have a great day. Go Cubs.